Good morning, Elysian Fields. Let me get settled here. Good Monday morning.
It's wonderful to be here.
It's so good to be here and good to have you here.
Thank you,
We're coming at you live here on a Monday morning at Elysian Fields, and I have a very special guest. This is Linda Commito. She is an author, a speaker, an entrepreneur, a consultant, a teacher, and your passion, and we're going to learn all about it, is to make the world a more kinder and a more loving, interconnected place.
Thank you.
And so we are so grateful for you to spend your morning. And I'm just really excited to learn more about you. She has been a longtime vendor of Elysian Fields, and we carry all of these beautiful products that we're going to learn so much about. So to start off, I gave a little introduction, but tell me a little bit about yourself.
First of all, I am so grateful to be here. Really, it is an honor. And not only have I been a vendor, but I've been a shopper at Elysian Fields for many years as well. I love this store, and it's just an honor to be here and to be able to share my experiences and to connect with all of you. And I appreciate, Becca, you're inviting me here.
Yeah,
and Tony for inviting me.
A long time coming.
Yes. Thank you.
So I always kind of like to start off these by getting to know the people behind the product.
Okay.
I think one of the benefits of shopping small and shopping local is that you know your dollar and the energy you put into when you buy something and you use it and you stay connected to it is that it goes to a person.
True.
So I would love to hear a little bit about your background of kind of what brought you into this business, what brought you here to Florida, a little bit of your journey.
Okay. I might share also something that's always been important to me are connections and community. And I was thinking about that, how I grew up in a place where my dad owned a little local variety store. I was 7 years old when he bought it. And how community was always so important to us. He had a little coffee shop with 8 stools, and same people would come in and talk, and kids came in for candy. And I grew up doing that. It was my first job. I worked there at 15, 16 years old after school. And so it was really a special part of our life. And the other part of community was I was brought up in a small town in New England, Massachusetts, and my mother and father, actually my mother's mother was the oldest of 21 children in Canada.
Oh, wow.
And that was the French side. And the Italian side, my grandparents, who came from Italy, bought a 6-family house. And so our whole family, they lived on the first floor, my aunt on the second floor, we lived on the third floor, and across the railing were my cousins. And so it was just always a sense of family and community, and that's something that I really love and love to create and love to bring forward to that.
That is a blessing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I had been living in Massachusetts. I was an elementary school teacher at one time, and I had a change in my life, and I think we all go through challenges at times, and this was a challenge for me. And when I'm trying to make a decision about what to do next, I actually hear things 3 times. The message is so clear 3 times. So I'd been in Massachusetts most of my life, except for a little year in London, which was wonderful.
Ooh,
but I came
cool.
back. It was really fun. And I came back, and I was in the same bedroom that I had when I was 12. I'm like, I am regressing. I'm going backwards, even though I was lucky to be there and have my parents. But I heard 3 times Colorado. And I'd never been further west than New York, but 3 times it was so clear to me. Someone I visited in the hospital mentioned Colorado. I opened a book on Aries when I was in the gift shop, and it said where Aries should live. It said Colorado. And then I was in my dad's little variety store, and he said, guess where I'm going? I said, I don't know where, Dad. And he said, Colorado. So that was how I decided to move halfway across the country. And I learned how to camp the night before I left. So I put up a little 2-man tent. I had a Ford Pinto, the one with the exploding gas cap or gas tank. And picked up a friend of mine's sister, and we camped all the way across country and settled in Colorado. And it was probably just such an incredible opportunity for me to just create a whole new life for myself. So I worked in retail. I worked in a lovely retail store for a time. And then I decided, I got a job offer to be in sales. And mind you, I never sold anything but Girl Scout cookies in my whole life. But this person from Dallas,
But you kind of grew up around it.
in a sense, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. So this person hired me as his rep in Colorado and gave me a printout, and this is your territory. And I found out that I absolutely loved it because I love helping people. And I worked with a lot of women actually in retail, but a lot of retail stores, interior designers, gift stores. And I did that for 4 years and then started my own business. And so it was just one opportunity after another. So that was how I was in Colorado, and I had that for many years. And after I started my own company called Commito and Company, I wanted to do something to support women business owners after I sold my business, because it's really difficult running a company, and to have that kind of support was so important. So I put together Commito Connections. It was a group of 12 women that I had met. They owned different kind of businesses, insurance agency, interior design firm, and I brought them together, and I rented a space overlooking a lake, and once a month I put on meetings so that they could be with each other, they could learn from each other, and I brought in a speaker. And they loved it so much. We did that for 7.5 years.
Wow.
So that was really awesome.
I can't imagine just the connections between when you get a group of women together and in a really safe space, the ability to create those connections. And across 7 years, I'm sure, so much can happen over those times, that what a gift, I imagine, that community that you created was for those women.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was. Even over snowstorms, they would make it there. They loved being together so much. No matter what, they would just show up. And it was just so wonderful for me to create what I wish that I had when I had my business, that could carry forth. And it was a really wonderful thing.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I had 3 friends who kept telling me about Florida. And I am never moving to Florida. I have no interest in Florida, right? But 3 times they said, Sarasota. Sarasota's the place to be. And so I came out to visit with my mom, and we went and checked. And for some reason, when I saw my condo here, I just fell in love with it. That was in 2005. And so I sold my home in Denver that I'd had for 18 years to be able to get a condo here. And just, again, created a whole new life and uprooted myself, and it's been an awesome experience. I was going back and forth for a few years.
Hard to let go.
It is.
Hard to let go of something you love so much.
Exactly.
But you have so much trust in your guides, and I think that's beautiful.
I do. And I'm so grateful for that. I write messages every day. Every day I have a gratitude. I write 3 things I'm grateful for every day. And I did today to be expressing my gratitude for being here and for all of you.
Yeah.
And that's something really important. And then I also write messages that I got, and then I say, obviously, prayers and send wishes out to everyone. So
yeah,
so it's something
that connection with what I'm learning in my spiritual practice is your connection to your guide it's a practice, and you have to actively work at it.
Right.
And sometimes you do get those big, giant messages of like, Colorado, go to Colorado, and it's very clear and you listen. But some things are a little more subtle. So I appreciate that reminder that those things take daily practice.
Right.
They do.
Absolutely.
So you come here to Florida.
Right.
You call Sarasota home.
Yes.
What next?
And I did love it here. Well, several years after that, I was in meditation. I'd been feeling so discouraged every time I watched or read the news, kind of like we're experiencing these days. And I was just in meditation one day, and I thought, I just didn't know what to do. I just was putting it out there, like, what does this mean, you know? And the words, love is the new currency, came to me. Love is the new currency. I said, wow, that's beautiful. What do I do with that? And so what I did with that is I started talking to people that I was meeting, asking them what they were finding hopeful and what they were doing to create that hope. And it was just the most incredible experience. And I realized that no matter where I went, there were just beautiful stories of kindness and things that people were doing, and they didn't share them oftentimes with other friends. Even friends I had known for a very long time had never told me how they had really rescued someone, helped someone, and the kinds of things that happen. And I could be at I was at a tiki bar, a Larry's actually, and I see a 3-legged dog, and I just go over to talk to the dog, and the owner, I do love dogs, and it was just such an incredible experience. So a whole story, the owner told me about Pippi the pit bull, and how Pippi would visit people in hospital, and how he visited an amputee in the hospital, and how he just transformed that experience. This little pit bull was so sweet. And then also a Good Samaritan story that happened here, right in our own neighborhoods. Someone had gone out for a newspaper, and when she went across, she was at a place to get coffee, and she went across the street to get a newspaper, and she saw a man lying on the ground, and people were walking around him. And he looked you know, disheveled and soiled, but she leaned over and she saw his lips were blue, and she said, "Do you need help?" And he said, "Yes." So she took him, took him in her car to the hospital, which actually is this hospital, Sarasota.
Yeah.
And she left him there, and then she went about her business, and she got a phone call about an hour later and said, "Well, I'm going to call him Sam. It's made up."
Right.
Sam is ready to be picked up. And she said, "I don't even know him." They said, "Well, there's no one else to call." So she went and picked him up and didn't know where he was going to be taking her.
Yeah.
And he ended up in a very nice neighborhood. He had just gotten disoriented, and he had flown to visit someone, and when he came back, he just had totally lost it. So he actually was so appreciative. He actually ended up hiring her to assist him. It's just amazing the connections and how that happens. But that was really wonderful. And I was going to say that also the experience of a ripple effect was really touching to me. And I shared a story that really meant a lot. This happened in Denver, Colorado. This couple, Brad and Libby, they loved cooking, and they used to go to volunteer. They just would volunteer at homeless shelters, and then they'd go out to eat afterwards. And I said, "Oh, it's so nice to get healthy food." And they said, "You know, some people never have healthy food, never have a good meal." And so they decided to use their life savings, and they opened this restaurant. It's called SAME, S-A-M-E, so all may eat. And it's in Denver, in a very challenged neighborhood of Denver. And they opened this restaurant, and it was all organic, anything that they could get that could feed. And it was a pay as you can or pay not. So you could vacuum, sweep the floors, wash windows, or whatever. And it was so popular. People from all different walks of life would come. Teachers would gather, street people, and they were just so amazed. And what was really touching is Libby said that she would find, sometimes she would open the store in the morning, she'd find a $1 bill on the floor. And she's like, "Wonder where that's coming from." And every day, for months, there would be a $1 bill on the floor. And if there wasn't a $1 bill, there'd be $2 another time. And so she was so touched, and she really wanted to find out who it was. And so one night she heard the slot go, and she looked out, and it was a homeless person walking away, and he was all tattered with clothes, you know, and he had been a street person, and he had been supporting their store and trying to give something of himself every single day to the store. And I will share one more little offshoot, because there's always a ripple of kindness.
These are beautiful.
A little 6-year-old boy was driving with his mom to work, to kindergarten, and he saw a man holding a sign saying, "Hungry, need food." And he said to his mom, "Mom, what is that about?" And she started talking to him, some people don't have enough to eat. And he said, "Well, what can we do? Can we feed him? Can we give him some things?" And she said, "We can't do that, but maybe we could find a place where we could help and support them." And so they heard about Same Cafe. And so this little boy volunteered every single Friday for months. He would go, he would fill the salt and pepper shakers, he would help clear the tables, and he would do everything. And it was such a beautiful testimony and tribute to
that ripple effect that you were talking about.
Right.
That it also reminds me of the saying of like, look for the helpers.
Right.
That when we are experiencing so much hardship that the majority of the world is experiencing at the moment.
Right.
You know, there's no denying that there's hardship in the world.
Right.
But it's really important to look at all of the struggle and find the helpers.
Right.
Find the moments of kindness.
Absolutely, I agree.
And I love that, you know, your book, Love is the New Currency, kind of is a compilation of, you know, not only those stories that you just shared, but others in highlighting that there is kindness out there. There are helpers out there. And I believe that, you know, what you seek is your reality. So if you're seeking out those moments of love, if you're seeking out those moments of kindness, that can become your reality.
Absolutely.
And then that ripple effect of, you know, someone sees you, the thing people do in the drive-through line sometimes, the pay it forward.
Right.
You know, oh, I'll pay for mine and the person behind me.
Right, I love that.
And then the person behind me, it goes and they found out someone paid for their drink, like, oh, well, then I'll pay for the one behind me.
Right.
And it's a ripple effect of kindness.
Absolutely.
Hate can have the same effect as well.
You're right.
You know, and so you have that choice of, watching the news and I'm not saying don't watch the news, but like, you can get wrapped up in that fear. You can get wrapped up in the struggle and the pain and the turmoil, but you also can just as easily get wrapped up in the kindness.
That's absolutely true. I agree with you.
And so I love and I encourage people to, use this as a kindness and a love reminder that there are those helpers and those loving moments right here in our own town.
Absolutely. Many stories of that too.
Yeah.
You're right, everywhere.
Yeah.
And we need it so much, don't we? Yes.
Really, really do. So how does, so that kind of brings us to your book. Tell us a little bit about all of these other beautiful decks we have here.
As I said, I've always loved connecting people. I've loved communication. That's always been important. And I've always loved good questions. I love people who ask good questions that really engage you. Because sometimes, conversations, we are not sure what to say next. And I realize how important it is, especially today. And so I started creating questions. And I was sharing with you this morning that an early time I had a bag of questions. I was putting these questions in a little gift bag. And I went to St. Augustine with friends, Mark and Ruth Ellen, who are on this call, I believe, and Francesca.
Oh, hi.
And so we were in St. Augustine, and I had my little bag of questions. We had a bed and breakfast by sitting around asking, and we had so much fun. We loved it so much. So I came up with this idea of creating question cards. So I have several different decks.
Okay.
Each deck has 53 questions in it. And I created the first deck, just ask 1, 2, 3, deck 1, which is called Easing In. So they're easy questions. I tried to have them at different levels so that easing would be for people that you don't know as well, that you're meeting for the first time. People come to, so we have questions there.
Okay.
Deck 2 is called Getting Closer. A little deeper questions. And then deck 3 is called deck 3 is called Deepening Conversations. And deck 4, my last one, is called Daring to Divulge. And talk about having time. I shared that I had a cancer diagnosis in 2019, and it was a perfect opportunity to create something different and to have time to do that. So I actually worked on 2 different decks at that time.
Yeah.
And that was really wonderful. And it was just good for me to be able to share with friends and doing that. And so I was thinking, did you want to do these together?
Yes, I would love to. I would love to. So to kind of, I don't know, kind of go back a little bit.
Okay.
We've been carrying these decks, like I said,
Yes,
in our store for a very long
Yes.
time, and they're very popular. And I love that it can either come individual or as a set, right?
You can buy them as a set if you want to, but they're sold individually.
Okay.
And then you can package them together as a gift.
And I want to just go into kind of, before we jump into,
Okay, sure.
because I would love to get into some juicy conversations, but tell us about the different ways that maybe someone could use the deck.
Okay.
Like
Well,
what kind of different scenarios?
Okay, sure. Well, I always carry a deck with me. They're great because they fit right into your purse, so there's always one in my purse. And I'll just give you an example of an experience. I was going to dinner there will be 6 people, and I didn't know 2 of the people, and another couple said, don't talk about politics, just let's not discuss that. So we're sitting at the table waiting for our dinner at plenty of time, and I pulled out my deck, and we just started playing. We went around picking questions and talking. And we had the best time. We talked about all kinds of things, and we realized all the things that we shared in common, everything from people that we cared about in our lives to what really mattered to special moments and experiences.
Yeah.
And we had such a wonderful time that at the end of that, we were all hugging each other, and this was before COVID. And we were, they said, oh, please come and visit us sometime when you're in New York or here.
Yeah.
And so it was just really a great experience for me to do that. It's also wonderful in groups. I was part of a group for actually 10 years, a group of women here. There were 11 of us, and we would meet once a month. And they were so helpful in coming up with the questions. We called the Awesome Women's Group, is what we call it, AWG. And they were really wonderful and helpful. And then I also belong to a writers group now called Wonderful Women's Group. No, Wonderful Women's Writers. And we meet regularly, and we use these as prompts. So we'll pick a question, and we have 8 minutes to write. So we'll do an 8-minute writing exercise. And my partner and I, Francesca, we do that regularly as well. He's a very talented writer and poet himself and a musician. So we pick a question, and we have a book that we just we write regularly, and that.
I love that idea. Even just a personal journaling practice.
Absolutely, and we have books filled with those kind of things. And other things that we've done. Well, one of the things is sometimes at dinner parties. Like I've had friends, and I just brought 2 plates just to give you an idea. And so before the dinner, we just stick a question under each of the decks, and people get to pick a question and share experiences. And I've been with 8 people, and it was so awesome. At the end, it was like, these are people I didn't really know.
Yeah.
At the end, everyone's saying, wow, it's so great to meet you. And it's just wonderful to have a more interesting conversation and really get to know something special about each person. But I'll share one experience that I really love. And
Yeah.
I'm in a condo complex, and in a condo complex, you don't always meet a lot of people.
Yeah.
We don't have a community center or anything. So 2 women, Jean and Judy, created what they called 6x6 during COVID. We couldn't go out, we couldn't do anything. So there would be 6 feet apart. We'd sit outside, we'd bring our own chairs, 6 feet apart in a circle. There would be oftentimes 10, 12 of us. And we would talk about all kinds of things. But I would bring my deck of cards, and we would just pick a question. And I loved it because I found out things that I never knew, and we just realized how much we had in common, how much we loved being together. And so it was really fun. It's still going today. They still meet every Wednesday now, 6x6.
Oh, that's so fun.
And it's just awesome. I just got to meet people that I might not have met before.
Yeah.
It's also great if you're waiting at anywhere with the questions. You can use them anytime. Or just meeting somebody for the first time or whatever. So I really love that. I'm just trying to think if there's any.
Well, I think the lesson that I kind of wanted to emphasize out of this whole process is the importance of connection and the importance of asking meaningful questions, like you said. That in a world where a lot of society is very polarized at the moment, that we have these people who, you think are so fundamentally different than who you are. And when we sit down and have these conversations and ask each other about, I don't know, whatever you have in store for me, we really do find out that we have more in common than we have differences.
Right, that's so true.
The human experience is, yes, very different, but it's also very unifying. And so the more you have the ability to be vulnerable and have open conversations with people, you find those connections and you find ways to relate. And all of a sudden we don't feel so different anymore.
That's right, exactly.
And so having these, conversations like we're about to have, I wanted to just encourage that in this polarized society that we're living in, it's so beneficial to have meaningful conversations. And it doesn't have to be about politics. It doesn't have to be about how we're different.
Right.
It can be about how we're the same.
Exactly.
So what do you have in store for me? What questions you got?
Well, I was thinking about one of the questions that I love a lot, and it's in one of the decks, and I forget which one, but I'm going to ask you this question. Whenever I meet someone, instead of saying, what do you do, or, just to get open, I ask this question. I go, what do you love doing so much that you forget all about time? I'm going to ask you that question. What do you love so much that you forget all about time?
I will say, I work in social media. That's one of my passion projects. When I'm editing videos or writing content, kind of really creating this image of what I have in my head, I lose total track of time. To the point that I need to set an alarm if I have somewhere I need to be. Because I'll just get so zoned in on the details of how I want it to look and how I want it to, the words that I want to say, and I'll just totally lose track of time. I love it. That's a good question.
Wonderful.
That's a good question. How about you?
I'd like to explore that with you sometime more and find out more about the things you do. That would be really fun. I love being in nature, and I love photography as well. I always have my phone with me, but I'm always taking pictures. So last night my partner and I were in Arlington Park, and I'm catching the ducks I was going to have all your ducks in a row. I was catching shots of them, but I love taking photos, and I love coming back, and I use them I write a blog article, I forgot to mention, on kindness once a month. And so I was thinking, I use a lot of my photos to put in there. And in fact, this Thanksgiving I'm writing one called I Wish You, and all the things I wish, and I have some of my photos from that. But I love that. I love being in nature, and I love sharing that with friends.
Yeah. So kind of similar with the photography. Beautiful. And I love the Arlington Park ducks.
They are great.
Every
I know,
spring
they
you
had
get
us
to see the
laughing.
little chickies.
Yes, it was fun. We had a great time.
Oh, good.
So I was going to, we can just, they're different. Do you want to try the easy questions in
Yeah.
reverse? Okay.
Yeah.
So if we were just saying, so sometimes I'll take the questions out of the bag. This happens to be a well-worn deck of cards. I use this a lot.
Well
And
loved.
this is, well, yes, I like that a lot better. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so take them out and put them into a bag, and then you can pick a question, whichever question you like. And so we do
anyone?
test. Yes, whatever you would like.
Okay. Do you have a nickname? If so, what is it and who gave it to you?
Okay.
And that's for me to answer?
That's you if you'd like.
Okay. Well, I have a few nicknames. I'm technically a Rebecca, but I've gone by Becca most of my life.
Okay, I like that.
So family does Becca Boo, of course.
Okay.
And then in college, our group of friends, we had 2 Beccas. And so we had to like differentiate, you know, when you're telling a story. And if you can't tell, I'm very short in stature. So I was Little Becca.
Okay, cute.
And they shortened it to LB. So
Okay, cool.
that's where, if you follow me on Instagram, that's where my Instagram name came from.
LB, I remember that. That's sweet. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So I'll just try a question
'Kay.
here. Have you ever been lost?
Ooh.
Please share. And I'll try to make it quick, but
Okay.
it was an amazing story. I was actually in France with a group of friends. We were renting a little farmhouse, and it was in the country, and I didn't speak French, by the way. So I had gone to church by myself one Sunday morning, and I was coming back, walking back, looking for my farmhouse, and I realized I was totally lost. I could not find I didn't know where the farmhouse was. And you go walk and walk, and oh, it's that one, it's that one. And so at some point, I saw these 2 little kids outside playing. I said, could you help me? Or so they got the mother, and she didn't speak English either, and the grandmother. And the grandmother spoke a little Spanish, and I spoke a little Spanish. We're going, boo, iglesia.
Yeah.
And anyways, they're so sweet. They say, motion to their car. They put me in their car, and they bumped up across all these country roads, and they took me back to my farmhouse. It was just the most wonderful, incredible experience.
Talk
It was
about a
so
moment
sweet.
of kindness.
Wasn't it? It was.
Oh.
I still remember that and remember them. It's just so wonderful.
Feeling of being lost is so horrible.
So these are some
Okay, so
questions
those
from deck
are,
one.
those are
Deck one.
easing into it.
Right.
Easing into it. All right.
And so deck 2, we decided we're going to be here having a little
Yes,
tete.
yes, we're having a
And
little
so
breakfast
underneath
party.
your plate is a question for you.
Okay. All right. Okay. What mischievous thing did you do as a teen?
If you want, you could always ask for another
I
question.
was gonna say, what do I want to say on camera? I have to really. I honestly was a goody. I was kind of like go to class, do my homework, kind of girl.
I could share one if you
Yeah,
want.
maybe
Okay.
give me a little time to think.
I went to Catholic school.
Okay.
Nuns. We did a play called Murder in the Nunnery, and so we had to dress up like nuns. And I thought it would be really fun to go downtown dressed in our outfits. And so we did, and I was dating someone. He had a convertible going up and down Main Street with my nun's habit blowing in the breeze, and another friend was with her boyfriend outside, and the nuns found out about it, and we got, you will not take these out again. So anyways, that was a mischievous thing. I usually was pretty good too, but
Yeah.
But here's another one for you.
Okay.
You try
All
to-
right. Maybe I got off a little easy. Okay. How do I like to express kindness? I like that one. I lovingly go by the store's emotional support animal for everyone around here. And I take that title very,
that's
with a
beautiful.
lot of pride.
Oh.
And so I think I like to express kindness by giving people space to express whatever they need to express. And whether that's excitement, whether that's fear, whether that's sadness, I take a lot of pride in being able to just hold space for people for whatever they need without judgment or needing answers or needing anything in return. That's what I try to do for
That's
people.
beautiful, Becca.
Thanks.
That's so beautiful. I mean, having that when people come in here, first of all, the space itself is so beautiful and inviting, and Elysian Fields is a wonderful place.
There's some good people here.
So we're so lucky to have this, and so happy about their expansion too. I just want to say, I really wish them the best. It's just a wonderful opportunity to come and get peace. But so to have someone that is so welcoming and inviting is an awesome gift. Thank you. That's really wonderful.
Thanks.
So, okay, we'll try a quick one on orange stuff.
Yeah, let's go deep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll let you. I'll put them in the bag for us.
Okay.
And when you're playing with people, they can pick any question they want. If they don't like it, they can ask for another one. Or if they heard someone else's, or if they like a question they want everyone to answer, they can go, everyone. Everyone has to answer the same question.
Oh, this is a really good one. And how much time do we have? So, the question is, what do I stand for? And that is very powerful. And I think I'm 33, so I'm like kind of easing into more of my adulthood and have a better understanding of who I am and what I want in this world. And so I think what I stand for has started to be a little bit more clear. And I shared with you a little bit just before about one of my passion projects outside of work is disability representation. And representation in general. I think it's very important for people to see themselves in others, talk about connection and empathy, and to be able to see yourself represented in media, in positions of power, and being able to, as a 33-year-old woman with scoliosis, I went many years never seeing another woman that looked like me. And that's hard. And so what I stand for is trying to change that and diversify media and diversify how people with disabilities are perceived.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful, Becca.
Thank you.
That is wonderful work that you're doing. It's so needed.
Thanks.
It's wonderful.
I appreciate the opportunity to have, you and these conversations and these people that are spending their morning with us.
Yes, it's wonderful to do that.
Yeah.
Let's get my question.
Please do.
One more quick one.
Let's do one more. I want to hear from you a little
Purple
bit.
one.
I've answered a few.
Let's go to the purple deck.
Okay.
Daring to divulge.
Oh gosh, let's go.
We should ask Tony a question sometime. And I'll put that in here.
Okay.
And pick. I'll just pick that.
Okay. What you got?
Have you ever had a volunteer experience that changed you?
Oh.
What and how? And many years ago, decades ago, actually, I was going through a depression, and I decided I needed to volunteer. I needed to get out and do something. And I'd heard about this camp for mentally challenged people from the ages of 4 to 80. And I didn't have a lot of experience with that, but I said I would love to do that. It was summer. It was called Happy Acres Day Camp at that time. And so I worked with the younger children. I do love working with younger children. And I loved it so much. These kids were so loving and so incredible. And I still remember them. I have pictures of them. I just had such a great experience with them. And I had initially volunteered for a couple days. Well, I was there every day from morning to afternoon. I just couldn't get enough of them. And at the end, I was really touched. They gave me an award as the #1 volunteer.
Oh, of course.
Because I just was so happy. I was so happy and joyful. And people came up to me and said, what is it that makes you so happy? And I thought, well, when I think about where I come from and how good I was feeling about just life and people, and it was life-changing for me. And I'm so grateful for that.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful. I think spending unpaid time dedicated to others, so AE volunteering, it is a life-changing experience to give without expecting anything in return.
It is, absolutely.
Is very important.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Really.
Yeah. Well, was there anything else that maybe I left out or that you wanted to kind of wrap up?
Okay, I'm sure. I would just like to say that I do write a blog article on kindness once a month.
Yeah.
And if you'd like to be on that, you can go to www.loveisthenewcurrency.com or justask123.com, and you can sign up for that. And I'm just so grateful and honored to be here, to be speaking with you. Becca, I am so grateful for this opportunity, and thank you to Tony.
Linda. This is,
Thank you.
yeah, this really has just been a long time coming. Like I said in the beginning, we've been in chats for a while. I will, after this video gets posted, I'll link your website. I'll link so that you can just click and buy these decks.
Well, I think no, actually here, because Tony has them here at the store.
Yes. They
Oh,
have them at the store, but we also have them in our online store. So,
great.
anyone,
Perfect. Oh, great.
anyone who isn't local here in Sarasota.
Oh, wonderful. I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
No, that's okay, and that they can purchase them as well, and we can
Okay.
ship them nationwide, which is great. And I again, I want to just summarize that. Look for the kindness. Seek out the helpers, and know that we're all a lot more similar than we are different.
Absolutely. May we spread that message of kindness everywhere. It just feels like we need to have that hope in the world, and it comes from all of us. So thank you.
Yes. All right. Namaste, you all.
Namaste.
Thank you so much for joining us, and until next time, ta-ta.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.